public inquiry precisely in aid of its investigation. And whenever it conducts an investigation, and whenever it conducts a public inquiry in aid of such investigation, it does so under its manifold, multifaceted constitutional mandates under Article 13, Section 18 of the 1987 Constitution to investigate possible violations of civil and political rights, monitor government compliance with international human rights obligations, advise on legislative measures for the protection and to conduct trainings and education on human rights. This is part of the effort to constructively look into any gaps in policy and practice that lead to human rights violations, as well as to identify any wrongdoers and provide remedies for justice and truth as required by the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which the Philippines, I think you know, is a state party. So the filing of criminal charges against the Morong 43, the filing of criminal charges, not the Morong 43, the filing of criminal charges against perpetrators of human rights violations, whoever they are, as may be found by the Commission in the conduct of this investigation and public inquiry, is only one of the remedies that the Philippine state can provide in human rights violations. So this, however, does not affect the power and the duty of this commission to look into incidents of human rights violations for the protection of victims, but also to recommend the appropriate remedies. Theoretically, we can recommend to anybody, not only to the prosecutors, not only to the courts, even to the executive, the president in her capacity as commander-in-chief. Also, nobody can prevent us from submitting a report to an international body like the United Nations, especially so that this case, just like the Maguindanao massacre, has already assumed global, or has already attracted global attention. So I wish, Prosecutor Senso, that you have been more or less educated about the mandate of our commission. Yes, I give the floor to Commissioner Coco first. With your indulgence, Prosecutor Senso.
Just a short thing, Prosecutor Senso and everybody else here. The CHR was created by the 1987 Constitution. And you very correctly appointed the judicial powers, which is Article 8 of the Constitution. And just for the record, let's read it. Section 1 of Article 8. Judicial power includes the duty of the courts of justice to settle actual controversies involving rights which are legally demandable and enforceable, and to determine whether or not there has been a grave abuse of discretion, etc., etc. A few pages later, on Article 13, Section 18, are the powers and functions of the CHR, which includes, number 1, investigate on its own or its own complaint by any party all forms of human rights violations involving civil and political rights. This document was created by a single body, very learned people whom the Filipino people chose to represent them. Are you saying, sir, that in their discussions between Article 13 and Article 8, they somehow forgot and gave powers to the CHR, which would then be null and void just because the judiciary also has certain powers? The practice is regularity is presumed, constitutionality is presumed, and also the fact that the Constitution is as a whole cohesive and works, and none of its provisions act against each other. So the CHR is going to perform not only its powers, but its functions. It is a duty that is mandated, in other words, minando, commanded by the Constitution. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.